Hi, I'm Lori Betts. Welcome to Golden Years. Happy spring. We hope the bad weather is finally behind us and nice weather is right around the corner. This month, my special guest is Knerem, and she has a special company, Resource Connections for Older Adults. So come on back, and she's going to give you some helpful tips, and hopefully she might help you down the road.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, pet them, care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture, you can jump, yell, you can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. 'Cause we're connected.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Lori Betts from Golden Years. I am interviewing today Knerem, and her company is Resource Connections for the Older Adult. Karen, thank you for joining me this month.
Thanks for having me, Lori. I'm glad to be here.
And I want you to start out with telling me what your company is all about.
Well, Resource Connections for Older Adults is about helping families navigate the field of aging and help them find the resources to meet their needs and wants and just make life a little bit easier for them.
Any age?
Just older adults. You're going to talk typically 55 to 100 plus.
Oh, okay. All right. And area counties?
I'm servicing Medina, Summit, and Cuyahoga County. We will reach out to Portage, Lake, and Lorain, but ideally Medina, Summit, and Cuyahoga counties are the areas we're working in. We'll help families across the country because a lot of times the older adult lives here and the family's living out of state. And they really don't know what's here, so those are ideal people to help.
Yeah, and we do hear a lot of people when they come into the store. You know, I get a lot of people out of town getting mom and dad settled, and they are just stressed because they don't know someone like you does exist. How did you get involved in such a unique company?
Well, I have been working with older adults in the financial field for the last 15 years. And when I would go out and help them with funding, I would find that they had a lot of other services and needs that they wanted and didn't know where to go or where to begin. And I'm just so passionate about older adults and their stories and their life histories. So I wanted to help them with that. And through those 15 years, I just connected to more and more resources and just saw this great need growing. So I decided in January to launch this company that really just helps them connect to those resources.
We go through life and we go through a pattern. You know, we get married, we have our children, and then we retire, and then it just seems like everything stops. And then you turn around and you think, okay, what's next? So having someone like you and your expertise, because there are so many, number one, assisted livings, nursing homes, or people coming into your home. There's so many agencies out there. How do you help the senior choose which way to go? I mean, do they call you up and then you set a plan? You have a regular conversation with them? And
so what we'll do is when the family contacts us, we'll go out to the home and we'll sit down and talk with them and find out what are their needs, what are their wants, and what are their challenges that are going on in their life right now, and what do we foresee coming up in the near future. And from there, we'll go back, do some research on some resources that might meet those needs, create some options for them. Then we'll sit down and present those to them. And we want to present more than one option. Like you said, if they're going, there's hundreds of facilities out there, how do they choose which one to go to? Do they even know if they want to move to a facility or do they want to stay at home? And a lot of times the older adult's idea is different than the kids of the family. And so we try to be that little mediator that kind of brings them to a common ground. How do mom and dad keep their independence, but yet the kids feel that they're safe and that they're okay there? And there are services that can be put in place to keep them at home, and sometimes it's more appropriate to go to a facility. We'll find the 5 most important things for them as far as a facility goes, if that's what the route they want to go. And from that, we'll narrow it down to 3 or 4 facilities for them, and then again, walk them through those pros and cons and help them decide, you know, which one is best for them, ultimately it is their decision. I often reference it as you go to the store to buy toothpaste, and if you've never bought toothpaste, there's 20 different kinds there. How would you even begin to know which one you really want or need? And we kind of do that with just all the sources that help someone age.
And the real sad thing is, because I just went through this with my mother-in-law, she'll be turning 90 this month. Sometimes you just wait too long to make that move, to go into assisted living or have someone come into the house to help you. And that's okay. You know, a lot of times, you know, the elderly, they lose their friends. Well, number one, they lose their spouse, they lose their friends, their children are out of town. It's okay to go live in a facility. You know, you have people around you all the time, activities. My mother-in-law, it took her a good 2 months to get adjusted to where she's at. But we had to let her do her own thing too and let her make the decisions. Okay, I want to try this and, you know, let me try this. I go every week and play bingo with her just to get her acclimated and, you know, and try to meet the different people that are there. It's an experience and it's really challenging for the children.
It is, and I think sometimes that procrastination of waiting, like you said, till it's too late or too long to make that decision is because the people are in denial, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Mom is getting forgetful, or you know, she's not able to take care of this, but you know, she doesn't want to say she can't, because older folks have a lot of pride, and you know, we need to have a lot of respect for that for them. But if we start engaging in those conversations sooner, and I always tell people, if you're proactive and just know what those options are, and presenting to mom, hey mom, you know what, if you went here, they have this, 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 whether it's activities, socialization, outings, whatever it may be. And she may not be ready now, but if you start those conversations earlier in life with them, they're much more open to it. And a lot of times facilities will have events there that allow you to go visit them and just kind of get acclimated so that when the time does come, you feel more comfortable about doing that.
And a free meal too.
And a free meal.
Yes.
Free meal and bingo, prizes, games, you know, I mean, it's amazing what facilities are doing today to introduce themselves to the communities. But, you know, it has to be the older adult's decision as well as the family to move. It's when the family's forcing them to move because they've waited so long, or sometimes they're just stressed, like you said. They don't know what to do, where to go. And sometimes putting, you know, surveillance in the home, a monitoring type system is helpful, or getting that stop-in caregiver that just stops in and checks on them. You know, things like that are helpful. When a family introduces those services, a lot of times the older adult is going to be resistant because they don't want their kids telling them what to do. They've always been the parent. But if you had that neutral outside person coming in and introducing those services, a lot of times they're a lot more receptive to it.
Definitely.
You know, and when we go out, our goal is to listen. Really listen to what that person's saying. Not only what they're saying, but what's behind what they're saying. You know, what do you really need? What do you like? And asking those questions that prompt them to tell us. I had a client that I went out to, and in asking her life story, found out that she doesn't really care for men. Throughout her life, she doesn't like men. And the person who was trying to direct her to services was a male, and he could not understand why.
Negative. That's a red flag.
Yes, couldn't understand why she wasn't receptive. And it was just a simple conversation by an outside party that was able to uncover it.
And sometimes you need that third person in there, removed from the family, you know, giving suggestions, you know, saying you could go down this road, you could do this, or you could do that. You know, and yes, you're right. Let them make the final decision.
Yeah, and you know, the goal is to give them information so they can make that informed decision. And then everybody feels confident about what's happening. You know, the older adult feels they're in control and still making decisions for their own life, but they have the information from a neutral party. And the kids are going, this is a professional who really knows these services and sources and, you know, is introducing to both, so they both feel good.
Because I've always said too that the family member, you know, you're going on with your life and all of a sudden your life comes to a halt because mom or dad needs you.
Yes.
And I hear that from so many kids that come into the store. I mean, they're big time stressed. I mean, because they just don't know how to help mom and dad because they're not experts in that field.
Well, and the time constraints too. I lived through that whole sandwich generation piece. I had a grandmother till 85, another one to 99 and a half, had my parents in their 70s, and I had kids in elementary, middle, and high school. And trying to manage that, and I saw what a struggle that was. So being able to call somebody up and say, hey, you know, my mom's forgetful, or we can't get to this or do this, or she needs transportation, whatever the case may be, can you help me find that? And you know, just spending an hour with the family and going, yeah, here you go, da 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 da, what you need, and they're like, this is just huge savings for me. They can focus on work, they can focus on getting their kids everywhere, and then visiting mom to have fun, not stressing over, you know, finding this and that. So it really is rewarding for the family, for the older adults, and we love being able to help them.
Yeah, you sound very passionate about it. Tell a real quick story about someone that you made a decision or helped them make the final decision for.
Right, we want to empower them to make the decision. I had a client call me, a family member call me and say, we needed some funding. We have a relative that's in assisted living who's been private paying and is out of funds. So I sat down and I talked with them, and it was a communication struggle between the family members. So they brought me in. We found out that she had a home sitting there vacant for 3 years. She was paying payments, paying for someone to maintain it, but the house was just empty. And she was private paying at this facility, was out of money. They didn't offer Medicaid services there, so she had to move. So worked with her. We got the house cleaned out, up on the market to be sold. We got some bridge funding in the meantime, and I went out and did the searching for her for some facilities. She was immobile, so she asked me to go out. We narrowed down 5 facilities that met her requirements, went out and visited them, asked the questions she needed, took some videos, did the observations, came back and presented them to her until she decided which one she wanted to move to, got her application for Medicaid in place, and she moved and she was happy, and the family's intact and now can go visit.
Oh, that's nice.
It was huge. You know, I had another family where they called me looking for some funding to keep someone at home, and they had caregivers coming at night and spending the nights there. But nobody was there during the day. And they just didn't stop and think about it because there was an accident that prompted someone to be there at nights with her. And as time went on, that was not what this client needed. They needed someone to stop in during the day, help with meals, do some, you know, communication, some socialization with them, be there for showers and a little housekeeping. And then we put a monitoring system in at night because for the most part she was fine at night. She hadn't fallen in years. So we were able to do that and structure it and save them over $2,000 a month in care and keep her in her home. But sometimes it's just that outside person coming in, assessing the situation, going, here's some other options that they hadn't thought about. And the lady is 98. We're hoping to be able to keep her in a home the rest of her life.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. And the family member probably didn't think over that. They probably thought, okay, mom is safe at night. You know, we could run in and out during the day, but life goes on. You know,
Well,
you
and
just
things
have-
change.
Exactly.
You know, so the caregivers were coming in at night, and everybody thought everything was okay until, you know, there became an issue where she was getting less mobile and having trouble getting to the restroom during the day. It's like, what do we do now?
And probably meals.
Yes, yes. And her pride. I'm eating fine, I'm taking care of my home, which, you know, but you need someone to do it with you, you know, to make sure you're safe.
And just having someone in the house to talk to do things with, you know, socialize.
Yeah, socialize and cognitive stimulation is huge. You know, having that during the day, there's a lot of older adults that can stay home alone. But really, is that the best? I know when my mom had a stroke and she went to a rehab, she did really well at rehab because she had socialization.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You need that one-on-one with other people.
Yes.
You don't have to like them, but you just have to socialize with them.
I was talking to an insurance agent the other day, and the issue was, you know, there's some older adults that should stop driving just for safety reasons.
You think?
But there is a lot of, you know, tension between the kids going, you know, Dad, you got to stop driving, and they're hiding the keys, or they're taking the car in for repairs that never comes back. And then the parents are resentful of the kids and creates that tension. There's actually a service out there that will meet with that older adult and walk them through, and they are very, very successful at getting the older adult to willingly hand over their keys.
And I did have him on my show already.
Matt.
Matt, yes. Wonderful program.
And people
Driving
don't know
safe.
that.
Oh, yeah. There's so much out here. And being in Medina County, I'm just amazed how many, everything is here for the seniors. I mean, no senior should be without, because there's all these connections. You know, everybody helps each other. So help us out there for them.
Help is out there.
Thank you for all these wonderful tips. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. So come on back.
Oops. Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Moms everywhere are finding ways to keep kids active and healthy.
Works every time.
Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov.
Severe weather can destroy a home in seconds. There's no time to think, only time to act. Have a kit so you're ready for any emergency. Develop a plan for what you and your family will do before disaster strikes. And stay informed during severe weather any way you can. It can be the difference between losing your possessions and losing your life. Just ask the owners of this house. Visit weather.com/ready and let the Weather Channel help you prepare your family for emergencies.
Welcome back to Golden Years. I am interviewing Knerem, and she has her company, Resource Connections for Older Adults. She is a wealth of information. So continue watching, and we're going to try to help you with some of your daily needs. Karen, okay, let's get back to chatting. Okay, so you go into these homes, okay. How does Mrs. Jones get a hold of you? What does she say when she picks up your number and says, okay, help me?
She can just say, I have some challenges and needs, and would you mind sitting down and talking with me? And let's just see what I can do to make things easier for myself.
Because at that time, she might not know what direction, what her real needs are, because it's overwhelming.
It is overwhelming, and it'll all depend. Sometimes it's the older adult going, I need to find someone to drive me here, or I need to find someone to help me. I can't take care of my yard and plowing and cutting the grass anymore. I don't know who to call, who can I trust, things like that. Or it might be the family going, Mom's really getting forgetful, and I just really don't know what to do. Where do I begin? How do I even know if I should move her to a facility? So it really depends who makes the call, and we'll just start asking the questions that help uncover what exactly they need.
So when you sit down with them, do you have key questions that you ask them, or just let them talk? And
well, we have key areas we want to make sure we address. We want to make sure we're addressing the housing needs and their safety needs and their transportation needs and their nutrition needs. So we'll ask general questions in all those different categories so that we can get that overview, a comprehensive view, I guess, really of what's going on in their life. And sometimes they don't realize those are issues without us doing that comprehensive look at it.
And sometimes if the three of you, the daughter, son, and you, and mom, that loved one is going to learn things that she never knew about mom, because she's revealing to you her feelings and her needs. And the daughter's probably like, you never told me, because until it hits us, we don't think, what is your concern?
Well, and they don't realize either, the kids care and love for their parents so much, but they have their perspective and their ideas based on their life experience and their knowledge, where the older adult has a whole different life experience and may have a very different perspective. And it's nice to have everyone at the table because we're able to hear both. And that's where that mediation piece comes in and said, you think this, but you know what, I understand Mom's concern about this, or giving up this. Have you thought what it would be like if someone took your car away? I mean, we all feel handicapped when our car is in the shop. Think about taking that away permanently. That's a huge adjustment. My mom had lived in a house for 50 years, and my brother was all anxious about uprooting, couldn't understand why she just wouldn't move. That's a huge adjustment to someone who's used to that routine and where everything is for 50 years. You've got to make an easy, slow transition for something like that to happen.
No, definitely. Going back to my mother-in-law, I mean, she was the type that I am not giving up driving. No one is taking that away from me. Well, we finally did move her to Pearl Crossings. After a week and a half, she fell and broke the hip. So now it's going to be a long road because she uses a walker now. But I know she knows now in her mind she can't drive. So I'll be taking her next week to not renew the license, but to renew her registration, just so she has the card. And I think she's okay with that, but I'll just tell her, Mom, this is the way it is right now. We have to renew you, but it's got to be done, and then in another month or two, we'll decide about driving. It's...
Yeah, and same thing. When my mom had this stroke, she still is holding out, believing that she's going to be able to drive at some point. So for her, just knowing her car is still in the garage is enough for her.
Definitely.
And we all just pitch in and kind of get her where she needs to go. But just having it there is enough for her.
And it's lucky, I mean, if you have the families around and you have the people that could pitch in, I mean, again, when the people come into my store, I mean, they'll say, well, my sister does this and I do this and my brother does this. That's wonderful. But if you have Mrs. Jones who's alone here in Ohio and the daughters in Connecticut, I mean, you fill a big gap.
You do. You're right. And sometimes it's, we'll bring in a home care person that is going to run errands and take them where they need to go. Do they need to go to the beauty shop? Do they need to go to the grocery store?
Issues, big issues. Those
Yes.
are very important.
Those are important, and those are important to people. And then there are agencies out there that will help families either through a support group or through some training. If you're dealing with dementia, what are some techniques you can use to make things go easier? I find in dementia, people, it's not an outward disease. You don't have a broken arm. You're not in a wheelchair. It's a cognitive thing that you can't see. So if you're used to mom and dad being so aware and so together, and all of a sudden they're getting forgetful, it's hard to identify that with the disease. And you get frustrated with the older adult. And there are a lot of techniques and things that will help people through that. But again, they don't know. They don't know that there's a group out there. They don't know home care could come in and help you learn how to feed them, help you learn how to keep them from being agitated when you're trying to change clothes, whatever the case may be. There are services that will help that, and hopefully, our company is going to connect people to do that, so they can be happier together as a family, and those needs are met and they're safe.
And when you use the word agitated, when you have the family member running into the home, trying to help mom, she's going to get agitated because mom is either repeating or just not doing what she should be doing. Well, your professional's going to say, she's going to take the time because she's there for a longer length of time.
Right.
And that's her mission, to take care of mom or dad.
Right, because you're right. When that daughter comes in to do that, she's got an agenda.
Exactly.
And not intentionally, but bottom line, she's got a family. She's got to get home. She's got to run a kid to soccer, get dinner on the table, and she's stopping in and trying to help mom. And mom, I need you to do this, and that's what she thinks and how it should be. Mom may not be thinking the same way, or mom may not be moving as fast. And you forget. You forget when you get in this day-to-day routine. So yes, bring it in. And sometimes it's just once a week. That maybe that's enough to relieve that stress.
Because in mom's mind right now, I'm number one.
Right.
She realizes you have your life, but she's got her needs, so she needs the help.
There was a family out in Lorain County that we were helping, and all the family was pitching in, and they were doing a wonderful job, and they had a schedule and a routine, but what they were finding was the family was having a hard time going out and having fun. Because the brothers and sisters and their spouses would go out for dinner or whatever their entertainment was, and they could no longer do that because someone was always responsible to stay home and take care of mom. And they found bringing in a home care person every other week for 4 or 5 hours allowed them to go out and just totally take that off their plate. No one had to worry about the phone ringing, who was there, what was going on. It just gave them that respite care.
And mom probably liked it.
She did. She did, because somebody came in and
Catered
had
to
new
her.
conversation with her, whether they did some activities, play cards, or whatever it is that they like to do. It was just something new and different, and mom didn't feel a burden.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't her kids anymore. It was just someone coming to visit.
Now, for my mom, she lives with my sister, we have a gal come, Marianne, every Wednesday, so my sister could get out and do her thing for 5 hours. And that's mom's time with Marianne. They sit there, they watch TV, they have tea together, but that's their day together.
Right.
So then my sister's out there getting her, release and a day just for herself, to spoil herself. So, I mean, it helps the whole picture.
It does. It does. And families, once they have someone to sit down and go, you know what, you could do this. Just try it, Try it. Try it for 30 days, and if in 30 days you don't find it to be a relief, then you can stop it and let's try something different. But once they try it, they're like, oh my gosh, everything is so much better. Our communication, our connection with our parents is better. It relieves the stress. I'm better with my family, and I've taken care of myself while I'm taking care of my family.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it is huge.
And then people aren't on each other's backs and
Right.
frustration.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, what good advice do you want to leave my viewers?
I think just calling and talking about what are my options, what's out there. And, it's up to you to decide, is this really, something I want to do or not want to do? But getting the information, I would like to see people be more proactive. What are my options, instead of waiting until
The last
Mom
minute.
fell, she went in the hospital, she's been in rehab, and they're making us move out in 30 days, and I don't know what to do. I don't have anybody at the house to take care of her. We don't know what facility to
I
go
hear
to.
a lot of that.
It's crisis work, and to get people to plan and look into things ahead of time would be huge. You're going to make better decisions when you're doing that. And I relate it to a funeral. When you're planning a funeral, when you've lost a loved one, you're planning it through an emotional state.
Oh, yeah.
But if you plan it prior to, you're making good informed decisions. So it's kind of the same thing, you know, let's think about what are our options, how can we make this better before it gets worse. So that's what I'd like to see happen.
And I've even had some seniors tell me themselves that they picked the facility they wanted to go to. So when they said, I'm done, they just told their kids, okay, take me over to this place because that's where I'm moving. And the kids are like, what?
Yeah, and how much easier is that than the kid coming and go, Mom, you're going here, you got to move here, you can't live alone anymore. You know, that's such a strip of someone's independence, and you know, it doesn't feel good for anybody when it goes that route. So you're right, letting them know ahead of time.
Oh, definitely. And then one bit of advice I'd like to leave people with, when we chose where to put my mother-in-law in assisted living, I mean, I checked several places, and I mean, very welcoming, you know, very activities, busy, blah, blah, blah. But in the back of my mind, and my husband said this to me too, make sure she's close to our house. Because when that phone call comes and she's stressed, you know, we need to get there if we have to address it right away.
Right, and those are part of those things you want to ask up front. Those are the questions we're going to remind families. How close being to them is important. And then, you know, you can walk in and the entryway can be beautiful, but what's really going on behind the scenes, and having someone answer those questions. And we do not get compensated by any of the sources that we refer to families. So when we're referring you to a company or a facility or whatever, it is really because they appear to meet your needs, not because there's any financial exchange.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Definitely, definitely. And you should pop, when the loved one's there, pop in at different times. You know, don't let them know your schedule, because then they'll get lazy.
Correct.
You know, just surprise visits.
Yes.
Now, do you have connections too? Like, let's say you're interviewing this person and then they say, okay, I would really like ABC to come in. You know, have you heard anything about them? Or, you know, who do you suggest? Or do you let them decide, you know, where they want you to go choose? Or
we're going to take all of that into account. So if they've got some ideas, the lady that I had to help her find a Medicaid facility had some ideas and some suggestions that she wanted me to check into. So we will go and do our due diligence and check what are the ratings of those facilities. You know, we have other social workers and places like that we can call. What do you know about this place? How's the service there? What's your experience there? So we will do all that background checking and come back and say, I know you were interested in these places. Here's what we have found on those. Here's some other options. Here's the reasons those might be a better option. Now, which one do you want to go and interview? Who do you want to go see? Do you want us to help you get there and go see it? Or is a family member going to take you? We will either do the research for you, or we'll go and actually help you do it.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you for being on my show this month, Karen. I think you had a very good presentation. I mean, you have a lot of good information to share with the seniors. And this is really crucial when you get to that state in your life that you have to decide, do I want to stay home? Do I want to go to assisted living? Do I want to go live with my kids? And there's a lot of that going on too.
Yes.
It's just life. I mean, it's the process of life. So if you have any questions for Karen, just pick up the phone, give her a call, and just say, you know what, I saw you on Golden Years. Can you help me through this? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next month.